Hi everybody, I'm Jacqueline Shulkin, and this is a video presentation about why the Senate should say no to H.R. 1599. First, let's talk about what a GMO is. GMO stands for Genetically Modified Organism. This is when genes are taken from one species and transplanted or put into the DNA of another species. Therefore, the new species can be called transgenic. Pros and cons. So, in regards to pros, according to food companies, GMOs are good because they allow for more efficient and quantitative food production. However, we do not know how this could affect nature. There have been demonstrated health problems for people, such as cancer, infertility, permanent allergies, diabetes, etc. The true purpose is to adapt nature to the industry. Therefore, we lose jobs, we lose nutrients in the soil, and etc., 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 because the whole point is to make the industrial process more efficient and more lucrative for the food companies. Additionally, companies are coming to own patents on food. Yes, literally on food and seeds. So the H.R. 1599 bill would do a number of things. One, prevent the FDA from requiring labeling of GMOs based only on the fact that they are GMOs. Two, the FDA can require labeling if it deems the product is unsafe, causes allergies, etc. Three, companies must notify the FDA about GMOs in food. Also, dairy products from animals fed bioengineered foods or foods processed with bioengineered aids or enzymes can still be labeled as non-GMO. Also, an important point is that this bill would prevent states from making their own laws about bioengineered food labeling. So, can we trust the FDA? Well, there's a lot of different opinions, and one is that the FDA is experiencing agency capture right now. Agency capture means that the industry that the agency is supposed to regulate comes to regulate the agency itself. And to demonstrate this, I would like to read a quote from FDA Deputy Commissioner for Food, Michael Taylor. Quote, "We simply do not have the information to vouch for the safety of many of these chemicals." End quote. So the FDA still allows food colorings such as yellow number 5 and yellow number 6, which are petroleum based, they are endocrine disruptors, and yes, they do cause cancer. So can we really trust the FDA with GMOs? Or with our health in general? What about GRAS substances? What are GRAS substances? This stands for Generally Recognized as Safe, and is a huge loophole because these substances do not have to go through testing, and sometimes the FDA is not even notified about them. Now, surprisingly, GMOs have come to be considered as generally recognized as safe, somehow, because there is still a lot of controversy among scientists about whether they are really safe or not. But they are seeming to come through this loophole currently. And by the way, this information is taken from a fantastic book, The Food Babe Way by Vani Hari. Okay, so why could this bill be unconstitutional? Religious freedom. And we know this is in our Bill of Rights. So let me just talk in general. I'm going to put these 3 religions as examples, so I'm not trying to exclude anybody here, but let's just put these as examples for right now. So Christianity, for example, there are some people who consider that this whole thing with the manipulation of genes and creating new species and stuff goes against their beliefs because it's like playing God and this type of thing. In Judaism, there are what are called kosher laws, which talk about eating and about certain foods that Jews can eat or cannot eat, how they're supposed to be eaten. So there are foods that cannot be mixed with other foods. And if we are taking the genes of one of these foods and putting it into the genes of another food that cannot be mixed according to kosher law, we could see how this could create a problem for Jews. Islam. So in Islam, the area that talks about food is halal. So food that is determined halal and that Muslims are allowed to eat it encompasses, for example, that pork is not allowed for Muslims. So if, for example, and this is an actual real example, pig genes are being inserted into other foods, we could see how this could be a problem for Muslims. 10th Amendment. Okay, so this basically says that any powers not given to the federal government, whether they are enumerated or implied, and are not prohibited to the states, remain to be powers of the states. So, what does this mean? An implied power of the federal government is to regulate interstate commerce. So we can see where this whole labeling of foods comes in. However, let us consider this situation. What if a GMO food being produced and sold in the same state is not allowed to be subject to state laws about labeling? I think this is a clear example of why this bill would be totally unconstitutional. So, to summarize, why should this bill not pass? Americans, we have the right to know what is in our food and what we are putting into our bodies. This is our right. If GMOs aren't bad, then why are food companies and the federal government trying to hide them? This doesn't really make sense. I think this is suspicious. Also, we should try to encourage transparency, and we should empower people to take control of their own health. This means that we should label GMOs so people can decide what they are putting into their bodies and therefore controlling their own health. And also, this goes back to this idea of religious freedom. If you're not even telling people what is in their food, how can they make sure that they are following the regulations that are prescribed by their religion? And the answer is they can't, unless they buy only organic food, which is not realistic because, as we know, organic food is not affordable to everybody. So this is why GMO foods should be labeled, and therefore HR 1599 should not be passed. And I hope that this video has been informative, and please sign the petition, please share. Thank you so much. Bye!